from you. I've never done a live, so this is cool.
Okay. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Reggie. It's time for another episode of Reggie's Expressions. And what I want to do here is I want to play my theme music because I don't think you guys know the amounts of work that I did for you guys with creating this. I want to give a shout out to Jib Jack, who's an amazing artist. I actually found him at through the same podcast thing that we do. And I was like, I need a theme song. He responded, and within a couple of days, he came up with this song. So shout out to him, and also really quickly, I don't think you can see it, but shout out to Mess in the Bottle. It says it's protecting my peace for me. So, she is an amazing designer slash artist, and she does a very good job with coming up with these things. And I think they embody what a lot of people are thinking, and especially Black folks, because it can be exhausting for us sometimes. So
that part.
She is amazing. The name of her website is Mess in a Bottle. You go to messinabottle.com. You can also find her on Instagram as well, and you'll be able to kind of go through. She has jackets. She has pretty much everything you can think of to show, some of her styles that she has. And I got 3 shirts, and it was definitely worth it. As soon as I got it in, I was like, I got to put one on. So I don't know why I'm acting like I don't know how to do this. Hold on one second. Let me go into the library because I have it on Anchor. And shout out to everybody who's been a supporter so far. We are doing a lot of things, shifting and moving. And I'm learning whatever it takes to learn to do this. I've only been doing this for 24 months now. And honestly and truly, I feel like I've reached a strive. I've reached a point where things are starting to work out in my favor. So I'm really excited about that. So let me see if I can play it here. Let me see. See if you can you hear it?
Go ahead.
He did his thing when he made this. So I every
This is
time.
nice.
Yeah. This is. All right, guys, we can go ahead and get started. I'm still learning this stuff. I don't know how to add it all to the thing, but I've only been using StreamYard for a couple weeks now. I used to use Zoom, and StreamYard to me is a little bit more interactive. You can do a lot more in terms of things like this. You can create a nice little border and kind of advertise a little bit more. So that's why I do StreamYard. But no disrespect to Zoom, but StreamYard is actually pretty cool. So as you guys can see, I do have a special guest here. Her name is Mrs. Teresa Clay. This young lady and I actually, cross paths. We are both a part of the Black Podcast Association, or Black Podcast Network. And, we kind of conversed a little bit. She was like, hey, I could be a guest. And I don't know if it was just divine intervention or God or whatever, but I was like, you know what, let me reach out to her. And I did, and here we are. So we're going to talk to her. We're going to be talking about all things Miss Teresa. And I do have some questions for you. This is in no way an outline. So if we don't get to it, it ain't a big deal. I just want to make sure that we just have a good conversation and that you and I get to know each other a little bit. And most importantly, just enjoy, getting to know each other at the very least. So
Absolutely.
a little bit about Miss Teresa. She is currently competing in the Miss Indy Juneteenth pageant. So I posted that on my Facebook a couple days ago. So if you guys could go out and donate in her name. And she also has a podcast named the Coco T Show, which focuses on the matters of the heart and speaking directly to Black women and mental health. She's also the founder of Coco Chanel, a group that gathers successful Black women. It's about 120, maybe a little bit more than that, for support and encouragement. Because in this world, you be doing stuff, and sometimes if you're anything like me, you want some type of validation that you're doing what you're doing makes sense. And
That's
you know, I
right.
think that's great. And she's all things Black. Y'all know how much I love my people. And I honestly and truly believe that Black women are the key to success, because you know, you guys always show compassion even when it's times that you shouldn't show compassion. So that's one thing
Mm.
that I absolutely
All
love.
right.
So I appreciate you joining me tonight. You got a chance to meet my husband prior to.
Absolutely.
So he was like, I just want to meet her. So he came upstairs and did it, but he's cooking right now. So I just want to get started by just asking you a simple question. I think the best
Okay.
thing that you can do is, you know, just ask something simple, which is, how are you? You know, a lot of
Okay.
times
Mm-hmm.
we be going through
Mm-hmm.
it and we want to
Mm-hmm.
say it, but we're
Mm-hmm.
afraid to say it because we don't want to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
bore anybody. But how
Mm-hmm.
are you really? How are you doing?
Wow, thank you for asking. First, let me say this. Thank you just for having me on your show. It is a
No
privilege.
worries.
It's a privilege and an honor. You know, when we spoke the other day, I felt like we just had this like natural energy. It was just amazing,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
And
that was off a show. It wasn't
yeah, it was
real.
off the
So
show.
I'm
We
just
were
kidding.
just
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
we were just connecting, but I just wanted to just pour some love and encouragement your way, because I think what you're doing is amazing, and just love to be a part of what's going on positive in our community, and love to just be around to support and hopefully be a voice, right? So that's my journey and my goal. So how am I? Thank you for asking, because I think we don't ask that question enough,
Yeah.
right?
It's the easiest question to ask, I think.
Oh, you know what? I'm okay. I will say I'm okay. I normally say, "Oh, I'm great. I'm great." But I have two parents that are both going through cancer, so they're dealing with that, and so just kind of navigating that world, and I have a teenage son, and all of
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And I
Teenage
remember
son. All
being a
right.
teenager, so all of that.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
yeah, so my condolences goes out to you and your mom. To have both of them in chemotherapy, I couldn't even imagine. Um, I,
Thank
I
you.
did share with you offline that I lost my mom, you know, at the beginning of the year. So
Yeah,
um, I think the most impactful thing that I learned as an adult is really how to see my parents as human beings, you know.
that's right. That's right.
Um, for so long, you know, in thinking about it now, when I have to think about like, what am I going to eat today? You know, I just think about my parents thinking about that
Right.
every day. Like they had to
Every day.
feed us, and
Every
then they
day.
had to do all these things, and then they had to go to work and do all
Right.
these things that I hate doing.
Right.
But you know, they did it, you know, with no questions asked. But you know, I think that it gave me the ability to give them a little bit more grace because they're human just like we are, you know? So
They are. They are. And you know, I think a lot of times and I think it's just naturally that we go through life, and we assign a lot of blame, and we assign a lot of um, um, responsibility for our hurts
mhm,
and for our
right.
pain. And
Hmm.
I get the reason why we do that. At the same time, I think we don't realize all that our parents have had to overcome to raise
Right.
us, right?
That's
And
true.
I remember one day my set, and I go over this on my podcast too. I cover the story, but my dad, I came home and my dad said, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Sure, Dad." He said, "Are you ashamed that I'm your father?" Right?
Mm,
Gosh,
mm,
right?
mm, mm, mm,
Gosh,
mm.
because
Yeah.
he's looking over his life, and he's looking over the decisions that he's made, and I
Mhm.
had to tell him, perfection is not required for love.
Oof,
Yeah, it's
what? Say that
it's not.
again,
Right.
please.
Perfection is not required for love.
Oh
And we
my
can't,
God, I gotta.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah, because we have this way of putting conditions on love, right? That we do.
hmm.
Mm-mm,
Hmm.
it's not required. It's not required. And so I remember when I said that to him, that his shoulders just like, you know, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's amazing. I've never heard that before, but it's
Mm-mm,
true. It isn't a requirement for love. You know, and the sooner you do that, the easier it is to understand that, you know, we're all human and we're doing the best that we can. And you know, my parents were born in the 50s in
right.
Albany, Georgia. So
Oh wow.
Martin Luther King, all of that. So, you know, the fact that they made it through you know, those odds, and we're able to
Right.
become parents and then raise
Right.
us to be, you know, what we are is just an anomaly and amazing within itself. So I spend my days trying to honor my father and making sure that he knows that I'm
Mm.
grateful for the you know, just the sacrifice that he made, because you
Mm.
know, there are a lot of people who don't have the same relationship that I have with my father. But
Mm.
you know, and we weren't always the best at it, but we've
Mhm.
grown enough to you know, to basically get to the point that we are now. So thank you for that,
Love
because I was
that.
not ready for that nugget. You dropping nuggets already. Goodness,
Already.
girl. It's just
Fine.
10 minutes into the show
I know.
now. So again, thank you so much for
Mhm.
coming on.
Absolutely.
You know, the reason why I was so nervous before is just simply because I got an
Mhm.
opportunity to do a little bit of research prior to, and you know, you know, I did get a chance to see some things that kind of, you know, made me make, you know, a mental note in my head that I need to make sure that I handled this with kindness and care.
Mhm.
And I did see that you actually was on Oprah
Mhm.
a number of
Mhm.
years ago.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of early into that, and that's not the reason that you know,
Yeah.
that we're here ultimately.
No.
But
Yeah.
how did that happen? Like, did you call up Oprah because you and her cool, and he was like,
No.
"Girl, let me
No.
come
I
on your
don't
show,"
think
and
she.
Oprah was like, "Yeah, come
No. I'm pretty sure she don't take house calls. Like.
on, girl."
um. You know, it's so interesting. So I'm gonna back up just a little bit. So I entered
Okay.
foster care when I was 13 years old, and
Hmm.
that I entered foster care. I was when I was young. I was sexually abused as a child, and that's a story that I share, and I share it openly from 3 to 13 years old. And so at 13 years old, I entered foster care, and then it wasn't until and prior to that, I was very angry, lashed out a lot. You know, I always say I was kind of a bully. Like I really feel like I was kind of a bully, you guys. I do.
I don't think
But
so. I don't
I
think so.
was. I swear I was. I have some apologies to give out in the world. But and so when I came into foster care, I think it was really that I had an opportunity to start sharing my voice, right?
Okay.
And I
Hmm.
started to share my story a little bit and a little bit, and I was given an opportunity to do a documentary with the Mark McGuire Foundation for Children called Close to Home,
Okay.
and that documentary was about surviving childhood sexual abuse, and
Hmm.
it aired at the Directors Guild in Hollywood, and that's where the producers saw the show. I mean, saw the documentary, and it kind of went off from there.
Okay. So, thank you.
Yeah.
That was it seemed
Hmm.
like it was preordained destiny, you know, for that to happen.
Hmm.
And yeah, that is definitely yeah,
Yeah.
for them to see it and decide that they want you on the show. But I
Yeah.
kind of want to talk about that a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, how did you really find the courage to be able to tell your story, you know, with the circumstances that you had and being angry? What
Hmm.
changed for
Hmm.
you, or what turned a corner for you to tell your story?
You know what? That's a really good question. What I would say is, I knew, like, even though I was going through the situation I was going through, and for me, it was my stepdad that was my abuser. Even though I went through that, like, the whole time I was going through it, I knew in my soul that that was not the life that I was going to live all my life. Like, I
Right.
knew that there was going to be a second, like another chapter to my life.
Okay.
And so I just wasn't sure how it was going to unfold.
Hmm.
And so when I finally told, and that's what I did, I told a friend of mine, my dear
Hmm.
friend Daria, who was wonderful. She went and told a school counselor, and that was absolutely the right thing to do. And when I
Hmm.
went into foster care, I just realized that I just was like, it was like someone just like tore the bandage off, and I felt like I was free. I was finally free. Like, for how long had I kept this secret?
Hmm.
How long had I been muted? And
Hmm.
finally, when I could talk, I'm telling you, I don't think I shut up ever since. I
No.
don't think I have. And it's not
And you
something people are comfortable always talking about,
that's
right?
true. That's
Right?
true.
There's a
That's
lot of
true.
stigma. There's a lot of
Hmm.
stigma. But I want
Hmm.
to talk about that because I believe in people carrying their own baggage. And that's not my baggage to carry. It's his baggage to carry.
That's true. That's
Right.
true.
So I get, you know what I'm saying? Give people their stuff.
Right, right. Give it back to them, you know, especially you didn't ask for it for, yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's perfect. And, you know, looking at it in that instance, yeah, I could see how you would come to that realization.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that what you just said, that ain't my baggage. I'm not
That ain't
gonna
my,
carry that around.
uh-uh,
Let me give that back. Let me,
uh-uh. Give
you
people their
know,
stuff back. Uh-uh.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
So I did hear you at one point say that you were the only one that was abused.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and I could just imagine, you know, myself in that situation.
Yeah.
I can sympathize. I mean, but how did that make you feel? Just having this burden to carry and seeing your brothers and sisters be able to flourish, you know, without, you know,
I will
this,
say
I
this.
guess.
I will say this. I wouldn't say that they flourished. I would say that in my mind, I think I thought it was that way, you know, because I was removed from the home. I felt like
Right.
I was being punished. I really felt
Hmm.
like I was like in jail, right?
Yeah,
And they
I
were
can imagine
living
so.
free. And I was like, how is this possible that this happened to me, but I'm living without my family? And they, you know, this man gets to live with my family and, you know, all of
Hmm.
this. I always interpreted it that way, but as I've become an adult and I've reconnected with my family and had adult conversations with them, I realized it wasn't that way at all. There's all kinds of scars and everybody's got them, right?
Right.
Because
Hmm.
the person that's manipulating the situation, he's working it on both ends, right?
Hmm. That's
So
true.
he's
That's true.
he's working it on the other end to be like, oh, she's a liar, this isn't true, you know,
Hmm.
to turn the family against the victim, right?
Hmm.
Because they have to keep covering their tracks. They
Their
have to,
tracks. That's true.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I just wasn't aware of all that. And I think in my mind, I had made it like, oh, they must have lived like this amazing life.
Hmm.
And it
Hmm.
was just broken for
Hmm.
all of us. It was broken.
Right. I mean, it's what do they say? You know, one bad apple spoils the bunch. One bad situation definitely, you know, could affect you. And it's interesting that you say, you know, having adult conversations because when you go back and you revisit that stuff, number one, is helpful, and number two, you know, when you reconcile with the people who were also involved, it gives you a different perspective in terms of how they saw it and what they went through. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
Absolutely.
And it gives you an opportunity to kind of put the pieces together and understand that, you know, like you said, that all parties involved were, you know, were affected in some way, shape, or form. It did affect them. They just may have been, you know, people who didn't know what to do and how to handle it, and that they were paralyzed with fear. So that is a very interesting perspective. And I can say that I've had a lot of those conversations with my dad and my family members over the years. And, you know, sometimes it was met with anger and sometimes it was
Mhm.
met with, you know, oh yeah, that, you know, that makes sense. So
Mhm.
yeah,
But not all those
that's,
conversations are easy. They're not easy. And though
mm-hmm,
they're helpful, they also can be hurtful,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
Because to understand my siblings' truth, right? Sometimes it's hurtful for me because I really wanted them to just ride with me. I wanted them
right,
to be on my side and just be like, no, that's my sister, da da da. But in their mind, this person didn't do anything to them and he was nice to them. And so how do you make both of those true?
right. Yeah,
You
that's
know?
true.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's hard. That's so hard. So
And, you know, especially with us living in a world where, you know, we have rules and regulations that are, you know, intended to be black and white,
mhm,
it's very difficult to understand that two
mhm.
things can exist at the same time, you
That's
know?
right.
So,
Woo!
that's interesting. Now, if you don't mind me asking, how many siblings do you have?
So there was four of us.
Mm,
I've lost two siblings. So
oh,
my
my
oldest sister.
condolences.
Thank you, thank you. My oldest sister and my brother both passed before age 40 of health conditions. Actually, it was so weird. But
Hmm.
my oldest sister was diagnosed with lung cancer at 16,
Oh
and
my gosh.
yeah, she lived to 39. My brother passed at 27 of an aneurysm. So
Wow.
yeah, and so I actually am the oldest living child at
Mm,
42, which is,
okay.
yeah.
You said 42, 40, what, 42 minus what? Because you, mm-mm.
Let me tell you something. My knees know the truth. My knees, they know.
Touche.
They know the truth.
Touche. I have to say that it's funny you said that because a couple of weeks ago my knee was just like, nah, we not gonna work right.
We
Mm-mm,
ain't going up them
mm-mm.
steps. Not
No,
today.
yeah, exactly. That's
Uh,
what it was when going up the steps. It was like,
right.
not today,
No.
not today, 41-year-old man, not today.
Now we
So,
see why our parents always yell for us to come get stuff. You have to, that's why. Because they couldn't get up the steps. That's why. They say
oh my God.
black don't crack. Yeah, but it quits moving. Like it just stops moving. It freezes in time.
Touche. All of that, all of that was true. Exactly. Absolutely. So before your siblings, decided to, to go home, did you get an opportunity to reconcile any of that with them or get a chance to
No.
talk to them about it? No.
And so my step what's so interesting is my stepfather also died of a massive heart attack one day.
Hmm.
It was sudden. And what I can thank God for is that he had already put forgiveness in my heart.
Right.
So I
That's
had
true.
already been on that journey of forgiveness. And I realized early on that it was a journey that I didn't need anybody's permission to be on.
Right.
See, that's
Right.
the thing about forgiveness is
Hmm.
that I don't need your permission to forgive. I can do
Right.
it all by myself, you know,
That's true.
right?
That's true.
So I had already been on the journey of forgiveness, and I think
Yeah.
so. When when they passed and when that all happened, devastatingly sad. I didn't
Hmm.
have that feeling like things left unsaid
Hmm. That's
because
good.
yeah, yeah.
That's good. Because I remember watching the clip, and you did talk about him passing away. How soon after that your sit down with Oprah did he pass away?
He probably within a few
Wow.
years. Yeah, like
Wow.
he had like after cutting the grass one day, you
Mm,
know. And I know some people are like, "Oh, aren't you glad?" You never wish death on anybody. You
mm-mm,
never do.
mm,
What I will say is that God is clear that
mm-hmm.
revenge is not mine.
Right.
Revenge is not mine.
Right.
Right.
You
So
you're not gonna have the validation of doing the revenge yourself, but I understand that. That's
there was a peace in my spirit. Oh my gosh, I have to say, there's a peace in my spirit to know that there's not another child
mhm.
out here in this world that will be hurt by that person.
That man. Yeah,
That's
that
all I
man.
can say about that. But you don't wish, of course, you wouldn't wish death on anyone. But
No, no, absolutely.
yeah,
And one thing that I'm also learning too is a lot of times, us as Black people, and I think this goes back all the way to slavery, because we didn't have a way to
mhm,
deal with, our trauma.
yeah,
We had to swallow it.
yeah,
I noticed that a lot of times, a lot of us will hold on to that pain and let
mhm,
that pain be the catalyst to us being who we are.
mm,
But, pain is supposed to be temporary. It's not something that you're supposed to
mm,
feel all the time. And
mm,
unfortunately, I don't have the closest relationship with my siblings after my mom passed. It was very,
mm,
very tough for
mm,
us to kind of get on the same page, and I kind of
mm.
decided that I was gonna protect my peace.
Protect my.
Um,
That's right.
right. And
Mhm,
I just had to step away a little bit. I've gotten a lot closer to my dad, but I do see that a lot of my siblings, we weren't the closest growing up.
mhm,
We had our differences.
mhm,
I was the youngest of my mom and dad's children.
mhm.
And, I've been doing therapy for about 15, 16 years.
Congratulations.
Um, thank you.
Yeah.
But, like consistently the last four.
Mhm.
And I suffer from anxiety.
Mhm.
I actually have PTSD.
Mhm. I as
So
well. I as well.
yeah,
So
I could
yeah.
imagine so. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it really taught me that you can't hold that stuff inside. You got to
Yeah.
let it out because it will start to manifest itself in different ways in terms of health issues. You know what I'm saying? It's all
I
connected.
absolutely agree with you. You know what you're saying is so, so, so important. it starts to show up before we do in life, right? I mean,
Right.
seriously, in our
Mm-hmm.
attitude and the way we're talking and the way we're dealing with people and the way, all this snapping, all this edginess, all this anger, all of this that we
Mm-hmm.
have, all this
Mm-hmm.
lack of boundaries, the way we just let people just come and do whatever they want in our
That's true.
lives,
That's true.
all of that. And like you were saying about therapy, I think I was just telling someone this earlier. I think we should think of therapy the same way we think of massage. It should
Girl,
just be a part
yes.
of our self-care.
You
You know,
know,
every now and then you just need to check in with somebody. Period.
that's true. That's
You need
true.
to check in with someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like
Mm-hmm.
you said, that pain is a symptom. To me, pain is a symptom that something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it can be, is it an emotional pain that you're having? Well, then there's something wrong on the emotional level, right?
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
True.
all in the way that we look at it. People say, I don't want to take no pills. I don't want to. Well, let me tell you something. I'll do whatever I have to do to be healthy because I don't
Right.
care. I just want
Right.
to be healthy and show up the best version of myself that I can be in this world. And
Right.
hopefully that helps the next person.
Right. That's
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
God is good.
That's Yeah, exactly. And I was having this conversation with a friend of mine who, who is a therapist also. And, a lot of times people will have that connotation when it comes to medicine,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to, medicine that treat your mood or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. They take that approach. Like, I don't want to have to take that for the rest of my life, but it's the same thing as treating a kidney stone or
Yeah.
a headache, or you know what I'm saying. It's just psychic pain. It's
They
not
don't understand that.
necessarily
They'll take a vitamin from here to for 50 years. They'll take that Flintstone vitamin. But
exactly, and eat that Vicks vapor rub. Put
right,
that down. We ain't supposed to
right.
eat that.
What you doing with my Vicks? But don't want to take the medicine. Let me tell you something. Zoloft saved my life. I'm gonna
Hmm.
tell you the truth.
Hmm.
I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna share it. But I'm
Okay.
I'm I'm joking, but I'm being serious. That
Right.
I didn't realize that I was struggling with anxiety. I didn't know what it was. What I
Hmm.
did know is that I was snapping. I snapped a lot. That I was
Hmm.
on edge. That anything I felt like I could just,
Hmm.
react.
Right.
And a lot of us, and this is why I do the podcast. This is why I speak out. And thank you so much for this platform, because I didn't like the way that we are showing up. Black women are often shown in TV and in media. Like
Yeah.
this snapping is just who we are. It
Hmm.
is not. It is part
Hmm.
of our trauma. It is part of the pain that we're showing to the world.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And so I got to a point where I didn't even like myself. I did
Hmm.
not like how I was showing up. And I used to be like, Lord, please just help me with this. And when my dear friend of mine, who's a doctor, she did this little assessment, and she said,
Hmm.
Teresa, you're struggling with anxiety. This is anxiety. What?
Hmm. Hmm.
I had no
Hmm.
idea. But when I tell you, it changed my whole situation. It did. It little bitty little
Right.
thing, but
Hmm.
I quit. I wasn't chasing my baby daddy around the car.
Right.
I'm just
Shoot.
kidding, kind of. But no,
Uh,
no, it really did. It took the edge. Let me tell you what it did. It quieted the noise for me,
yeah.
right? The fear, so
Mhm.
that I can think clearly and make rational decisions. And
Right.
whatever we need to do in the world to show up for ourselves and our kids and our
Mhm.
loved ones is what we need to do.
Absolutely. So it's safe to say that the things that you've got, done, in terms of your mental health definitely informs the podcast that you do.
Yeah.
So since we're here, do you mind telling us a little bit about, the Coco T Show and how that formed, and what gives you the motivation to continue?
I love the Coco T Show. Thank you, Reggie.
I like it too, actually. I really do.
Thank
It's very
you.
quiet. It's like, hey, it's Coco T Show.
It's
It's
Coco
your girl
T.
Teresa. You belong here.
You
So,
belong here.
I'm like, girl, I belong here. I
I
do.
you're
I
right.
do belong here. You're right.
I want people to know they belong here. And do you know why I say that? Because so many times in my life I felt like I didn't belong. And so I just want people to know that you belong here. If you have made it to this place, if
Mhm,
you are hearing my voice, you belong here. This is an
mhm.
intentional moment in your life.
Right.
You
Right.
belong here. I'm super excited about the Coco T Show. And what's funny, and let me tell you how life is, because you go, look, you're about to shout. Look, you're about to shout.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
I was originally going to do the show with a co-host,
Uh-huh.
right? and I had pitched this whole idea, and I was going to do it with the co-host, and I was kind of scared of not doing it with the co-host. Like I wanted it to be us,
Mm-hmm.
and that person kind of bailed at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I had set a go date for me, right? Like we were going to go on this date. And so
Mm-hmm.
I had to say, Lord, okay, this was my vision. So when
Mm-hmm.
he's giving you a vision, what, you're going to put it on someone else?
That's true.
Right?
That's
So
true.
what I said was, I'm about to just, I'm going forward with
Uh-huh.
my vision, and we'll see
Mm-hmm.
what happens. And so it ended up being the Coco T Show. And I went forward on the day that I said. I
Nice.
struggled through it, but
Uh-huh.
it gets better. You guys keep listening. It gets better.
So how long have you been watching outside my door? Um,
What?
looking at what's going on in my life because I feel like you're telling my story right now.
Right.
Um,
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you.
yeah, that's and this is actually my second go at it. My first go was about 2017, and
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, the same. Well, we started the show, and I
Mm-hmm.
always had an affinity to radio. I've always loved it. I've always
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it. I remember being 18 years old and being like, "Oh, I want to be on the radio,"
Oh wow.
having that because I didn't. There was nothing else that I felt that I wanted to do other than this. So
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to the young lady who was at the radio station. Her name was Candy Brown, which was not her real name. Her real
Mm-hmm.
name was like Kiki something, and I was like, "Why don't you just use that?" She was like, "Well, it's a stage name," and she wanted to, so it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
But she invited me to the station and made me her intern,
Oh
and
wow.
that is really kind of what started my quest in terms of liking all things behind the scenes.
Uh-huh.
But I say that to say, a lot of years I suppressed it. I joined the military, did that,
Oh
still
wow.
had the want to do radio. So
Mm-hmm.
I actually decided to go to school for it in California. And at
Wow.
this point, after I got out of the military, I was, I was, I was grown,
Mm-hmm.
23, 24, 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went and I did the major, my life changed a bit. And I really just focused on the sales aspect because I was doing really good. I was
Mm-hmm.
making a lot of money at the age of 24, 25,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I'm going to put my eggs in a basket with this particular company. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I did. A few years later, I got fired. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Found another job that was similar to it. A few years later, in 2017, they was like, all right, bye. Um, we're going in a different direction, and your position that you're in is no longer available. You can apply and figure it out. So
Right.
that put me back on. So I kept taking sales jobs, and long story short, the friend that I found that I was working at that other company that I was working with, which interested in it, but they were interested more or less into the social media aspect of it, not
Mm-hmm.
really doing the show. That was kind of my bag. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, I put it on them for my dream. And when he had to go his own separate ways, I stopped doing the show. So I paused
Mm-hmm.
it from about 17 to
Mm-hmm.
2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing the show again. Um, Basically after a good friend of mine passed away, and her mantra was live life on purpose every day and be kind to people.
Yeah.
That was the last, thing that was impactful that she said before she passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's been 24 months now that I have been working on the Reggie's Expression show.
Mm-hmm.
And, bit by bit, I've gotten into this phase of just adding a little bit more, doing the
Mm-hmm.
theme show, spending money on visuals, doing the
Yeah.
LLC, because this is what I'm supposed to do. It's like what you said,
That's
I
right.
belong here, you know.
Yeah. That's right.
Um,
That's
and
right.
it's about believing in yourself. And I struggle with self-doubt as everybody else does. And
Mm-hmm.
today, typically on the show days that I have to do the show, I'm like, what if no one listens? What if no one comes on? What
Right.
if I don't do well? But then you'll eventually go down a rabbit hole that you can't cure, and it will cause
Mm-hmm.
you to not really focus on your dream. So I know that was a long story of how I got involved into it, but I'm in it now. You know what I'm saying? I'm all things Reggie Expressions. I work full time and I do this, and things are starting to roll. People are wanting to reaching out to come on the show. People are looking for ideas and things, and
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, I had to exit stage left with my co-host, and things happen, and
It's not unfortunate. I think it's all in the way that we look at life, right?
yeah,
Because
true,
that
true.
that actually could be even an even better path even for him. You never know.
Right.
We never know, right? So
Hmm.
we show up, we do our best, and we make the best decisions we can, and
Hmm.
that's it, because it's not coming from a place of malice or maliciousness, right?
Right. That's true.
We're trying to live our best lives. That's it. That's all.
Right. Yeah,
When we
trying
talked
to
the
live
other
our best
day,
lives.
yes, and we talked the other day, and I said to you, I said, I already know. And look, we only had talked a few minutes. I said
Yeah.
this, didn't I? I
Hmm.
already know that you are living in your purpose. I can tell it. It comes through when you
Thank you.
speak. It is
Thank you.
it is there. You are absolutely good. You have everything within you to be
Hmm.
completely successful in what you're
Hmm.
doing. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Right?
I need to.
Yeah. So you just have to embrace it. So once you embrace it, once you take that baton and you really like and you realize this is your race, come on. Right? And
Why my guests always be saying stuff that be getting me all teary eyed over here?
oh
Uh, but it does my heart good to hear that, because uh, my love language is words of affirmation, right?
oh
Um, and it
mine is
actually
good.
is what now, gifts.
Yeah. So
Yeah, my
you can
husband's
send
too.
it to no, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. I'm kidding. I give a lot
Yeah,
of gifts.
y'all see her name right now. Go on social media. You can
I already
find
got
her.
you.
Nah.
Boop, boop. I already
But
got
yeah, it's sometimes it's hard for me to it's
you. Take it
I
in.
just need to receive what it is you're telling me, because I'm trying to find ways of explaining it, but sometimes it can't be explained,
That's right.
and
That's right.
all I know is that at the end of the day, I'm not. There's no pretense for me. There's no.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. This is not fake. It feels like what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
So my husband sent clapping emojis. You need to be cooking. Quit playing now. That food better not burn. Yeah, he's actually one of my biggest supporters. So,
That's so
um,
wonderful right there. Just that
yeah.
is everything.
Oh,
Oh,
who is that? Who is that? You got to show him.
you see
Who is
Bella?
that?
This is
Yeah, I
Bella
see
baby. Look,
Bella.
no, y'all gonna talk about how scruffy Bella is. Bella
Hey,
is scruffy. Look at Bella. Oh my goodness.
Bella.
This
Oh
is
my
my Bella
God.
baby.
What kind of dog is she?
She's a terrier mix. And let me tell you, she was a lost puppy.
That's the
And
same thing my dog is.
no,
Kari, yeah. He's a
I feel
terrier
like
mix.
she found me and she was a lost puppy and my little mean self, because I was like, no, I don't want to keep her. I don't want to. I'll be sitting there all like this.
Mm-hmm,
And I
mm-hmm,
had never had an animal before, and she'd jump all over me. I'd be like, why is she all over me? And then one
mm-hmm,
day, I just started petting her
mm-hmm.
and never stopped, and I fell in love with her. And
How old is she?
who knows? Like they don't know. I don't know, but
Yeah,
I do. I truly love her. Yeah.
my
Mhm.
my three dogs. I have three. I have Tuesday, who's the yeah. Tuesday. Rico is my oldest dog. I had him since he was 2 months old, and he's 12 now.
Wow.
Um, Tuesday was a dog that I got from my husband after we got back
Oh,
from California in 17. He wanted another dog, and I was able to find somebody who had a litter of puppies. And Tuesday was 8 months. She was the last one of that litter that they
oh,
didn't get rid of. And then Kari was within the last year. He's a year and 2 months old. We
oh.
got him from a friend,
Mm-hmm.
and Carlos didn't want him initially. So, Kari, if you hear this, and when you get older,
Oh no!
you can badger your
Don't
dad
take
about
it
this.
personal.
Because he didn't want it. He didn't want him because of his hair. He was really my
Yeah.
husband's a neat freak, even though he don't like to try to say it, but he is. And
Oh,
I swear, Kari is the epitome of both of us.
really?
And his name is actually spelled Caree, which is elements of
Oh,
his name and
and
then
yours.
elements of mine. So Kari, Reggie, Carlos. So,
Wow.
but it's funny how dogs they know when we going through what we going through too.
They
So, you
do.
know.
Sometimes I look at Bella like she a whole soul in there. I be like, Bella.
Yeah, exactly. So, how long have you been doing your podcast?
I'm new. I'm so new. Like I
Okay,
think this is my 10th week. Um,
nice.
yeah, 10th week. But and just like you, I feel like God has given me a voice, you know, and so there's a part of it that comes natural. There's a whole another part of it that don't, like the technical
Mm-hmm.
part for me that doesn't.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
But
That does take a little bit to learn for sure.
right, right,
Hmm.
like there's all of that that I didn't even think about before. But
Hmm.
just wanting to connect and feeling to naturally wanting to connect with people that feels supernatural for me. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
and it
excited.
and
We'll
it,
see what happens.
it definitely comes through your show. I asked you earlier. I was like, have you thought about extending it? Just simply because
Yeah,
I
it's
love
like 10
it.
minutes.
Well, yeah, but I love it because you don't have to have a because this is long form. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
This was kind of the concept that I was thinking when I initially came up with it. That I just wanted to sit down
Okay.
and talk with people. So, but I like what you do because it does pose questions. Like I think
Hmm.
the one question that you had that I thought was impactful to me was what was it, when did you give up on no when did you give up on your dream, or when did you
Yeah.
stop
What
dreaming, or something like that.
what dream are you still sitting on?
Yes, what dream you're
Yeah.
still sitting on, and this was
Mhm.
it. So
Mm.
that was impactful. And then you had the what's the lie that you were told when you were younger,
Yeah.
that you found out wasn't true. And I was thinking and thinking and
Yeah.
thinking, and I kind of got sidetracked, but I still haven't answered that question yet.
Really?
um I think the one thing, well, I guess thinking about it now, when I was growing up, my mom, had always had her mental illness, right?
Mm.
And, they treated her as such, and they used to say
Mm-hmm.
that she was sick, sick,
Mm-hmm.
sick. That's
Mm-hmm.
what Black folks in the South
That's
call,
right. That's right.
being mental health. Oh, she's
Right.
sick. And I heard them say that about me when I, came to grips with my anxiety and all the stuff that I was
Oh.
going through. So they said that. I remember when I had my first severe panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it was actually my second one. And I had a roommate, and my roommate was like, "Who in the hell did I move in with? This man,
Right.
get him out of here!" But my dad knew that there was something else.
Mm-hmm.
And what he told people, oh, he's sick, and he came down. He spent a week with me, and I think it was the best thing that I needed at the time, because he just knew I needed his presence. And
Mm-hmm.
my roommate at the end of it was like, um, when is your dad going home? And I was like, oh, no, 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 he'll be here. It's just
No,
one week.
he's
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to know because I was gonna have to find somewhere else to live. I was like, come on now, man, quit playing. No, I love my dad, but he ain't moving here. He's married. He has a whole wife and
I
a
love
family
how
that
he
he has to
showed
take
up for
care of.
you.
Yeah, he did. And it really wasn't. The funny thing now, I'm thinking about what happened. My dad actually came down on a Greyhound bus because I lived
Oh.
in Jacksonville at the time,
Oh.
and he knew his son needed help,
Oh.
and he showed
Wow.
up. And it's remembering things like that is why I think
Yeah.
me and my dad have the relationship that we have now, and why we're
Wow.
so close. Because I don't think he knew the impact of that would have on me even to this
Yeah.
day. So shout out to daddy, because here in the South we still call our daddies daddies. You know what I'm saying?
Diddy.
Even though it
Diddy.
even though it means something else nowadays, and we ain't gonna talk about
Oh.
that because that's not the kind of show we on. You know
No, no, no. No, no,
what
no.
I'm saying? So 10 weeks you did the podcast. What I was gonna
Yeah.
say about the length of time, like I said, it's just enough time to be able to be like, to really get the gears going. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
I imagine, the audience that listens to this is the person that gets up in the morning and that is
Yeah.
meditating, and they want to have that resounding question. They may not have the answer during the show, but then they
Mm.
think about it out, throughout the
Exactly.
day, and they're like, oh yeah, that's what she means.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and it,
Yeah.
it forms them, and it pushes them to ask those questions that not everybody have the agency to be able to ask. So thank
And
you.
thank you so much for that. And I want people, and I want especially us as women, I really do.
Hmm.
I want us to look within. We
Right.
really, really need to take a beat We need to take a
Mhm.
minute and really
Mhm.
look within and ask ourselves why we are making the decisions that we make. Where
Right.
is that coming from? Where
Mhm.
what is that? Is that you, or is that your inner child? Is that this? Is that
Right.
some type of
Mhm.
betrayal? What is it that's going on with you? And
Mhm.
so what I hope happens is that these questions kind of awake something and people say, "Hey, I heard this question today on the
Mhm.
Coco. Let me ask you." And then there's a conversation that happens.
I see it. I see it.
Mhm.
Well, I'm open to the idea. Well, like I'm talking for you. I would love for you to extend the show, but obviously I
Okay.
want you to, that would be something that you will come to grips with. Because I think that what you have to say is necessary. The questions that you ask,
Mhm.
especially the audience, because I just see, young black girls. I mean, I have a
Mhm.
sister. My
Yeah.
mother, unfortunately, being a woman of the South and also being mentally ill, didn't really
Mhm.
have a voice to be able to,
That's right.
talk for herself. And I think that's, I mean, to be honest, that's one of the reasons why I do the show. My mom wasn't able to speak for herself.
Mhm.
And I've always been someone, I've always talked like this, like the way
Have
I'm
you?
talking now. When I was like 8 or 9 years old, I am hungry. I am ready to eat. I think I should eat now,
Oh, wow.
and us, we'd be like, oh, why are you talking white? I'm like, I
Right.
don't know what you mean. This is the
I
way I
know.
normally talk. What are you saying? You know?
That's hilarious. Like,
But
whose
my
kid is
stepmom
that? Whose
actually,
kid
she
is
asked me
it?
that. Yeah, my stepmom was like, why you talk like that? I don't know what you mean, stepmother. No, but
That's funny.
we I've always had this curiosity. Like for me, I've
Yeah.
always been curious about why do we do the things that we do?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? What
Yes.
is causing me to have a visceral reaction
Mhm.
about what's going on? Because to be
Yeah.
honest, it's really not that big of a deal, but this bothers me. Why?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And the way that you really kind of, get in touch with feeling comfortable with asking those questions is really through informed therapy.
Yeah. Wow.
My therapist is a white man who
Mhm.
is, around the same age as me.
Mhm.
And, this is before the whole idea of having a black therapist was,
Mhm.
was a
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
And, being the hands of the VA, you kind of have to get in where you fit in. So
Mhm.
I really had to put my trust in him, even though he didn't understand. But I also didn't have the same conversations I was having then now. So that's
Mhm.
another thing. It was probably easier
Yeah.
transition for me. But I feel like he gets it. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? I feel
Mhm.
like when I'm talking to him and I'm talking about black ish, he's like, really? I never thought about it that way. Like,
Right.
wow, I feel
Right.
like he has conversations about
Yeah.
some of the things that he learns, and that wasn't intentional. It just kind of happened
That's right.
over the time. So I actually have a therapy appointment this Saturday. I'm very excited about it because
I
we
love
were
it.
talking we were talking about my control issues. We didn't really get a chance to talk about that too
Right.
much last time because I was talking about some other stuff. And he was like, let's focus on being happy. Then we'll get
Right.
into, because this summer for me, I spent a lot of time. This summer was a moment of growth in my marriage and in
Mm.
myself personally. I took some
Okay.
time off of work. I took a sabbatical for 3 months because I
Mm.
knew that my mom passing was still affecting me.
Mm.
And long
Yeah.
story short, I learned a lot about myself. I
Mm.
learned what I like, what I don't like, and I became more confident in speaking my truth
Mhm.
and understanding that sometimes you can't package the truth to look pretty. Sometimes it's going to be bad, and some people are going to take it the wrong way and make you the scapegoat, but that's fine too.
That's fine too. It's your truth, and as long as
Exactly.
you live in your truth, and you owe it to yourself to do that. See,
Hmm.
that's the thing, right? Because a lot of times in life we've been taught to put ourselves on the back burner and not be um, to not show up for ourselves and to not feel valid, right? All of these,
Right.
and so learning to now put, to validate ourselves and that we're worth it and all that. That's so hard when you've
Hmm.
been taught the exact opposite for so
Right.
long. It's
Hmm.
so hard to do, but you're
Yeah.
worth it. You're worth living your truth. You're worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
We were raised to be selfless,
Hmm.
and sometimes we use that as a way to focus on others and not ourselves. It's a distraction,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, when you go home and you go to sleep, all you have is you. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
still have the trauma and the pain that you're trying to hide. So And that's kind of, the conversation that I'm trying to cultivate too. So,
Yeah.
I love the fact that that was your charge, in terms of your podcasting and, just kind of the work that you do. So thank you again,
Thank you so
for
much.
that. No worries. So 10 weeks you've been into podcasting. How difficult was it for you to start?
Um,
And how, I know you said that you had a go date with your friend and
I
it
had a
didn't
go
work
date.
out. Right.
Yeah, I had a go
How did
date.
you overcome that fear, I guess, or whatever it was?
I think, let me tell you what was the hardest part, to tell him that I was going forward without him.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
was the hardest part,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because we
Hmm.
have to, that moment when you choose you,
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
the hard part, especially
Yeah,
when you've been a pleaser your whole life, right?
right.
So
Hmm.
what I realized, through COVID, we all learned so many things through COVID. And
Hmm.
what stuck with me is that watching people live and die with their dreams, with their
Hmm.
hopes, with their,
Ooh,
it's
girl.
just to watch people live and die with those things and not live with intention after watching that is,
Hmm.
I just, how could I do that? I
Right.
said to myself, "There's no way," and I'm sure a lot of us, there's times where you just almost you cried just thinking about how many people were passing on,
Yeah,
right? So
that's
it's
true.
like, how can we make sure that those people didn't die in vain,
Hmm.
right? Every
Right.
dream that lived on, everyone that showed up, every business that started,
Hmm.
everyone that started a podcast,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Everyone
Hmm.
that moved with intention after
Hmm.
that, to me, they give, it's like they made, like those people didn't die for nothing.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? These people did not die in vain.
Right,
Look at how
right.
many amazing businesses and dreams and everything were born from this.
That's true. That's
You
true.
know?
That's a perfect way to look at it because, in this universe, I think we're all connected in some way, shape,
Yeah.
or form. Black people, I mean, I can only speak from a black experience, but I do feel like a lot of our ancestors are still living through us.
Absolutely.
And the one thing about us is, we'll what do they say? Take a lick and keep on ticking. Is that what they say?
Ain't that it? That
And
part.
that's just because we're destined to, to greatness, however way that may come. Um, so most of your topics are actually, what are most of your topics kind of centered around? Is it kind of the question of the day, or
Yeah, everything
okay?
is about the question of the day for me, but and those are centered around being introspective of self, of
Mm-hmm.
really saying, hmm, have you
Mm-hmm.
thought about why, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or like, is there somebody in your life you need to apologize to? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
nobody
Mm-hmm.
wants to say those things, but those are
Mm-hmm.
things we need to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those things that kind of just free the soul a little bit. They
Mm-hmm.
just free the soul a little bit, and
Right.
also sharing those nuggets. And I have this thing I always tell the Coco Chanels. So that's cocoa with an A, you guys, like cocoa butter.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
um, I always tell them, like, you don't, you know what, live through me, learn the lesson through me, because I
Mm-hmm.
have had so many experiences that
Mm-hmm.
for people to go out and repeat the same bad decisions and do the
Mm-hmm.
same
Over and
old,
over
let me
again.
just save
Mm-hmm.
you the time. But,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Exactly.
let me
Absolutely.
save you the time. I'm telling you. And that, like, it's, to me, it's not by happenstance that my first foster family were a Caucasian family, the Wachowskis, right? This like
Right.
Polish American family.
Wow. Okay.
Polish
Okay.
American. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they made me challenge what I had been taught about race and what I had been taught about people and
Mm-hmm.
differences. And when you're living with people and you see there ain't that much difference,
Mm-hmm.
and that we have the same dreams, and we all want to come home, and we all want to be safe. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
and that it was often my social workers and the lawyers that worked on my behalf were Caucasian, and you get what I
Mm-hmm.
mean. I had
Right.
to. Then you have to face I've always been put in a situation where I have to face my own self. What?
Right. That's
You
true.
know? So,
Yeah, that's beautiful. So you talked a little bit about Coco Chanel. Tell
mhm.
us a little bit more. I mean, obviously it's, you guys gather, is it monthly that you guys gather?
We do. So
Hmm
the goal is the Coco Chanel's, of course, and when people hear the name, they of course think Coco Chanel, right? But the
hmm
the only similarity to that when you hear the name is that it's about, people who really, I enjoy nice things. I enjoy having, nice, I love a nice glass of wine and having a
hmm
nice evening and just and chilling out and enjoying good music and maybe a little jazz, right? I'm
Right,
not
right.
turned. I'm not turned
hmm
tonight. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? There's a certain way that I move in life, and I knew that there was other women that felt the same way,
hmm
right? And I wanted to find women that were like-minded. We,
hmm
success minded, kind spirited, because that's
hmm
very
hmm
important to me that we surround ourselves with kind spirited people, right?
hmm
Women,
hmm
that we're giving, voluntary, we show up in our families and our community, all of that.
Right,
And we will
right.
never, and we don't talk mess about brothers. That is like
hmm
a number one rule. We don't do
hmm
that.
hmm
I don't
hmm
like the division that happens between a lot of sisters and brothers. I don't like it. And so I just don't feed into it.
Right. Yeah,
So I
yeah.
don't want a space that this is another space where no, this ain't that.
Hmm
And
Yeah.
so I wanted us to just have a space where you could just feel loved and a part of something and just have
hmm
fun and classy events,
hmm
So we get
And
together
and
monthly.
And how would someone who is kind of new to the area get involved in Coco Chanel?
Yeah, so you guys can check us out on Facebook at
Okay.
the Coco Chanel's, and that's Coco with a like cocoa butter. And you can find us, of course, on Facebook. You can find us also on Nextdoor. We have a Nextdoor group as well, where most of our, believe it or not, we have like 105 members on Nextdoor, 58 members now on our Facebook page. It's crazy. It's
Nice.
just
And it's Coco Chanel, Chanel.
so it's the and then Coco Cocoa
Hmm
Chanel's Chanel apostrophe S.
Okay. Alrighty.
Yeah,
Let me make sure I
the
put that
Coco.
on there.
And you'll see a crown, right?
Hmm
Because the crown, well, we always say crowns up, right? No one can take the crown that you have earned in your life,
Oh.
right? Crowns up. And our kings, we also, as queens, we know that the place next to us is reserved for the king. So look,
hmm
that I say that because look, I'm not trying to be in charge of everything in my life. Look, I that's not my point. That's not
hmm
it at all. It's understanding that what I bring to the table, and then how I
hmm
also can be a rib as well. I
hmm
believe in all that. You know.
Right. Right.
Now
Right.
I'm not married, so I have to say that, y'all. Okay,
hmm
I'm not married, but I truly believe in most importantly, let me tell you what I realized. I have a son,
hmm
okay? And if I'm in the world as a black woman talking about men ain't this and men ain't that, black men ain't this and that, what am I saying about my son?
That's
I'm
true.
not willing to do that.
hmm
I'm not
hmm
willing to write his future that way,
Right.
right? So
That's
I
true.
so I just move with intention in a different way, you know?
Right.
Yeah, that's
That's it. That's
it.
it. That's been amazing. I will tell you, Miss Teresa, you dropped a whole bunch of gems on
Oh
me
my
tonight.
gosh.
Oh my gosh. You what was it you said? Perfection is not required.
For
What
love.
was it again?
Perfection is not required for love.
I need to tattoo that on my perfection is not required for love,
That's gonna be her
so
next shirt. It'll be on a
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I feel
back
like you
there.
should make that shirt. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
maybe I will
Yeah,
make
that I don't want to. I need you to get credit for that because that was. I don't even think
that.
you realize how that is very impactful. And I think that in relationships, sometimes our partners let us down. But if we
Mm,
understand that
yeah,
it's not required,
exactly.
that we will definitely you know flourish. Carlos says that is beautiful. I told you Carlos is my biggest
Oh,
fan.
thank you,
So
Carlos. He's the best.
uh,
He's the
super
best.
sweet, super sweet. So
I,
um,
mhm,
we are kind of at the end here of the
mhm.
the podcast.
Yeah.
We did cover a lot. But before I let you go, I just wanted to ask, how can people find you? How would they be able to find your social media? How can they find Miss Indy,
Juneteenth.
I'm sorry, Juneteenth? How can they just be a supporter of all things Teresa Clay?
Well, thank you so much. I'm just honored and humbled and all of that. But you can find me on Instagram at Wink Smile, Wink Smile, at Wink Smile on Instagram, Teresa Clay on Facebook, of course, the Coco Chanel's, Blaze.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a million things that we're doing. So just be a part of it. And you can also go on the MissIndyJuneteenth.com page. I just want to
Mhm.
encourage you guys to get involved with any Juneteenth activity that's going on in your city
Yeah.
because it's important. It is so important. Please educate yourself on it if you're not familiar with it. Just I love the story of Juneteenth. I feel like it's
Mhm.
it's just one that should be celebrated. So I'm super excited to be a part of it, y'all. I got some serious competition, so I'm just telling you that now. The sisters they're amazing. All of them are. So
Mhm.
I'm just
Yeah,
excited to be part of it. So thank you so much,
absolutely.
Ruby. It's been a pleasure.
No, no worries. And again, like I said, thank you. The same thing that you said about me, I see in you. I do see
Thank you.
a career, a path carved out for you because I think your message is necessary. Because I mean, you know, we all know that our black women definitely suffer. Just as much as us, black men do. And
Yeah.
I do agree that we should talk about unifying,
Yeah.
um, talk about unifying a lot more than we do. And I think a lot of times we kind of get into the salacious details of it, and that just takes
Yeah.
you down a rabbit hole, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think we need more of Coco T. I think
Ah,
we definitely need more
thank you.
of Teresa Clay in general. And for those of you who are interested, you can actually check out a lot of the things that Miss Teresa talked about on the Facebook page, my Facebook page, Reggie's Expressions. So you guys are all familiar with that. And I'm pretty sure we're going to collaborate even more too
Great.
with
Great.
this. What were you going to say?
Oh, I meant to say the Coco T Show is on Spotify. So
Spotify.
or Spotify, you can catch
Yep.
it there.
hmm
Awesome.
So links are all in her bio on Wing Smile, her link tree that she has.
Mhm.
So you guys can go there and it will give you the links to everything. I think link tree is a blessing because having to hold on to all those
I know
links,
it.
it's like, oh, Instagram, spot. I don't.
I know.
What are you asking me?
I
So
know,
it
right?
is a great place for you guys to go and just get some happy content. And you're also a traveling medical
Yeah,
sales rep, correct?
I am. I'm a licensed optician. I've been one for 18 years, and I um, work for a company based in Paris selling luxury eyewear. So that's what I
Okay,
do.
luxury eyewear. So she be
Hmm.
getting your
Yeah,
eyeballs and
that's right.
your frames nice. If you're a guy like me, I like to have statement frames.
Yeah,
So
that's right. I do that.
I don't half step when it comes to
We're
frames.
gonna
I
have to
will
get you
spend.
some frames, Reggie. We have
Oh,
to.
absolutely. We gonna have to talk offline. But that was another episode of Reggie's Expressions, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you for listening and allowing Miss Teresa to share her story. I'm
Thank you.
absolutely grateful, and I know for a fact that you are going to do great things. And I'm looking forward to seeing whatever else you have in store. I just want to ask, do you mind staying back before we,
Oh yeah, no,
before?
absolutely.
Okay.
Of course.
So you guys know where to find me, Reggie's Expressions, and that's spelled REGGEE' Expressions. That is on Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram, and that's REGGEES_expressions on Instagram. And you can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and pretty much any place that you get your pods casted. So thank you guys again. I appreciate each and every one of you. And my mission statement is my mom is the reason why I'm here. She didn't have a voice, so she gave me the opportunity to pass the
Mhm.
baton to give a voice to those who may not necessarily have one. So that is my mission's work to make sure that I spotlight people and I just have the conversations that I want to have because she did not have the opportunity to. And I feel like it's my legacy to continue her story in her name and be ultimately what I know she would want me to be, which would be to follow my dream. So Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your night. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.